Hi everyone! Welcome to another discussion in income taxation. Sa videong ito ay pag-uusapan natin ang regular income tax, exclusions from the gross income. And I would like to emphasize this, na everything I'm discussing here is based on the book of Sir Rex B. Bangkawan, CPA MBA. Yung book niya ay Income Taxation, Laws, Principles, and Applications. Alright, simulan na natin ang ating discussion and we'll start it with the definition of exclusions from gross income. So when we say exclusions, that came from the root word exclude, which means hindi kasali. So pag sinabi natin exclusions from gross income, this actually refers to the income items na hindi kasali sa gross income subject to income tax. Take note class ha, meron tayong tatlong income taxation schemes under the NIRC. We have final income taxation, capital gains taxation, and regular income taxation. So, pag sinabi natin exclusions from gross income, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga income items na hindi kasali sa computation ng gross income na subject to final tax, capital gains tax, or regular income tax. Under Section 32B of the NIRC, ito yung listahan ng mga income items na hindi kasali sa gross income subject to income taxation. So, ito yung mga income items na hindi subject to regular tax, hindi subject to capital gains tax, and hindi subject sa final tax. Ito sila. We have proceeds of life insurance policy, amount received by the insured as a return of premium, gift, bequest, device, or descent, compensation for injuries or sickness, income exempt under treaty, retirement benefits, pensions, gratuities, and etc. And we also have miscellaneous items, which include income in the Philippines of foreign government or foreign government-owned and controlled corporations, income of the government and its political subdivisions, prizes and awards in recognition of religious, charitable, scientific, educational, artistic, literary, or civic achievements, prizes and awards in athletic sports competitions, contributions to GSIS, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and Union Dues, contributions to personal equity retirement account or PERA, PERA investment income, and PERA distributions. We also have 13th month pay and other benefits not exceeding 90,000 pesos, gains from the sale of bonds, debentures, or certificates of indebtedness with maturity of more than 5 years, and we also have gains from redemption of shares in mutual fund. Now, pag-usapan natin isa-isa itong mga exclusions from gross income, and we'll start with the proceeds of life insurance policy. So, sabi dito yung pera na natanggap ng heirs or beneficiaries. Again ha, yung pera na natanggap ng mga heirs o kaya beneficiaries ng isang insurance policy upon the death of the insured, whether it's in a single sum of money or otherwise, it is considered as a return of capital. It's because yung buhay ng tao is a capital item with infinite value. We cannot really measure how much is the worth, how much is the value of a person's life. That's why sinabi natin infinite value. Again, yung life is a capital item with infinite value. And because of this reason, yung proceeds from the life insurance policies na natanggap ng heirs or beneficiary ng insured person is considered as a return of capital, and therefore it is excluded from the gross income. So, hindi siya subject to income taxation. For example, Alberto is insured in a 1 million pesos life insurance policy with annual premium payments of 20,000 pesos for 10 years. If Alberto outlives the policy after the 10th year, he will be paid a 500,000 pesos maturity value. Let's assume that Alberto died on the 8th year of coverage and his heirs collected the 1 million pesos proceeds. The question is, how much will be the taxable income? Okay, ano nga uli yung sabi when it comes to the proceeds of life insurance policy na natanggap ng mga heirs or beneficiaries upon the death of the insured? Sabi dito, it's going to be treated as a return of capital and therefore it is going to be excluded from the gross income. So that means, etong 1 million pesos insurance proceeds na natanggap ng mga heirs ni Alberto is not subject to income tax. So hindi siya taxable. Again, yung 1 million pesos insurance proceeds dito is not taxable. Now, if kapag merong agreement wherein si insurance company ay magbabayad ng interest aside from the insurance proceeds, so yung interest payment na yun is going to be included in the gross income subject to tax. Like for example, si Alberto, okay, alam natin, nagpa-insured siya for 1 million pesos isang life insurance policy with annual premium payments of 20,000 pesos for 10 years. And then assume that Alberto died on the 8th year of coverage and the insurance company negotiated for an extension of the payment of the proceeds wherein the insurance company shall pay 1,050,000 pesos on the extended payment. So, in this case, class, etong 1 million pesos lang ang mako-consider natin as a return on capital. So, that means only the 1 million pesos is going to be excluded from the gross income subject to income tax. So, simply stated, yung 1 million pesos dito is not taxable. Pero yung 50,000 pesos exists. This actually is an interest. And this is a return on capital. And this will be included as part of the gross income subject to income tax. Specifically, ito ay subject sa regular income tax. Alright, and now let us proceed to the second item. The second income item that must be excluded from the gross income. We have the amount received by the insured as a return of the premium. Sabi dito, the amount received by the insured as a return of the premium on any insurance contract is a return of capital. Hence, it is excluded from the gross income subject to tax. For example, Alberto is insured in a 1 million pesos life insurance policy. Nagbabayad siya ng 20,000 pesos as insurance premium every year for 10 years. And then if after the 10th year of the insurance coverage at buhay pa rin si Alberto, babayaran siya ng insurance company ng 500,000 pesos maturity value. Now class, let us assume na after 10 years of the insurance coverage, buhay pa si Alberto. So, babayaran siya ngayon ng insurance company ng 500,000 pesos. So, if we're going to analyze the 500,000 pesos proceeds, it's actually divided into two portions. Merong return of premium at meron din siyang return on capital. The return of premium, ito yung total insurance premium na nabayaran ni Alberto sa loob ng 10 taon. So, we have 20,000 pesos insurance premium per year. Tapos, multiply natin by 10 years. So, that is equal to 200,000 pesos. Itong 200,000 pesos return of premium, hindi ito income. Ito ay isang return of capital. Ito yung total amount na binayaran ni Alberto sa loob ng 10 taon. So, since it's a return of capital, so therefore, etong 200,000 pesos is not taxable. However, class, the 300,000 pesos difference, ito ay isang return on capital. So, this actually is an income and this should be included in the gross income subject to regular income tax. Another illustration. Okay, Alberto is insured in a 1 million pesos life insurance policy with annual premium payments of 20,000 pesos for 10 years. Now, let us assume that after 6 years of paying the insurance premium, inassign ni Alberto yung insurance policy kay Glino. So, nagbayad si Glino ng 130,000 pesos kay Alberto, tapos tinuloy ni Glino yung pagbabayad ng insurance premium payments for the next 2 years. And then after that, unfortunately, namatay si Alberto. And because of Alberto's death, na-collect ni Glino ang 1 million pesos insurance proceeds. Okay. Isa-isahin natin yung nangyari. So, first, merong assignment or sale of insurance policy by Alberto to Glino amounting to 130,000 pesos. So, if we're going to analyze the 130,000 pesos na natanggap ni Alberto from Glino, it actually consists of two portions. Merong return of premium and then meron din siyang return on capital. The return of premium, ito yung total insurance premium payments na nabayaran ni Alberto for 6 years. That's why we have 20,000 pesos insurance premium times 6 years. That is equal to 120,000 pesos. And this amount is not an income. It's a return on premium, which means it's a return of capital. So therefore, this is not taxable. However, class, the 10,000 pesos difference, ito yung return on capital. So, it's an income and it must be included in the gross income subject to regular income tax. Alright, dito naman tayo sa 1 million pesos insurance proceeds na natanggap ni Glino upon the death of Alberto. So, the 1 million pesos insurance proceeds actually is consist of two portions. Merong return of capital and then meron ding return on capital. The return of capital, ito yung 130,000 pesos na binayad ni Glino kay Alberto on account of the assignment of the policy plus, di ba after assignment, tinuloy ni Glino yung pagbayad ng insurance premium. So, nakapagbayad si Glino ng insurance premium for the next 2 years after assignment. And then, after that, namatay si Alberto. So, yung total na nagastos ni Glino ay 170,000 pesos. That is 130,000 pesos for the assignment plus the 2 years worth of insurance premium. That's 20,000 times 2 years. So, itong 170,000 pesos, again, this is a return of capital. So, therefore, this is not subject to tax, but etong 830,000 pesos difference, this is a return on capital. So, ito ay income on the part of Glino, and this should be included in the gross income of Glino subject to regular income tax. Okay, let us proceed to the next illustration. And this time, this is all about life insurance of company officers. So here's example. So si Alberto, isa siyang empleyado ng isang corporation, and then the corporation decided na ipa-insured si Alberto for 1 million pesos. Tapos yung beneficiary ay si employer, which is si corporation. And unfortunately, namatay si Alberto. So, because of Alberto's death, na-collect ng corporation yung 1 million pesos life insurance proceeds. So, ang tanong ngayon is, etong 1 million pesos life insurance proceeds ba, in this case, is taxable or not? So, this kind of insurance arrangement is held within the purview of the NIRC exemption. So, therefore, the life insurance proceeds in this case is not taxable. Property insurance contracts. So, sabi dito, the proceeds of property insurance contracts in excess of the tax basis of the property lost or destroyed is a taxable return on capital. For example, si Asti Company kumuha siya ng fire insurance policy that would cover the entire 2 million pesos fair value of its office building. And then, unfortunately, yung building na yon ay nasira because of the fire. And during that time, yung depreciated cost, which is the tax basis of the office building, was 1,800,000 pesos. And so, with that incident, nagbayad ngayon yung insurance company kay Asti Company ng 2 million pesos. So, ano ngayon sabi, when it comes to property insurance contracts, sabi dito, yung excess daw ng proceeds of property insurance after deducting the tax basis of the property that is lost or destroyed is treated as a taxable return on capital. So, balikan natin yung illustration. Magkano yung proceeds from the property insurance? It's 2 million pesos. Now, how much is the tax basis of the property destroyed by the fire? It's 1,800,000. So there's a difference of 200,000 pesos, and that is a return on capital. And this is an item of gross income which is subject to regular income tax. We will now proceed to the next exclusion from gross income. So we are now in letter C, gift, bequest, devise, or descent. So sabi dito, yung value daw ng property that is acquired by gift, bequest, devise, or descent is not going to be included as part of the gross income subject to tax, provided, however, that income from such property as well as gift, bequest, devise, or descent of income from any property in cases of transfers of divided interest shall be included in gross income. Okay, ano bang ibig sabihin dito? So, para maintindihan natin, we'll go to the illustration. Sabi dito si Mark, nakatanggap siya ng isang gift, nakatanggap siya ng isang regalo on April 1, 2020. At ang gift na yon ay isang restaurant business. So, on that date, which is on April 1, 2020, yung properties ng restaurant ay nagkakahalaga ng 400,000 pesos. And then, meron pang 50,000 pesos cash income which is earned since January 1, 2020. Tapos, yung restaurant nakapagtala ng additional 150,000 pesos cash income from April 1 to December 31, 2020. So, in this case, class, etong 400,000 pesos worth of restaurant properties, this is excluded from the gross income subject to income tax. Why? Because this is a gift. And since this is a gift, so this will be subject to transfer tax. Uulitin ko ha, itong 400,000 pesos na restaurant properties, this is exempt from the income taxation. Pero, this is subject to the transfer tax. Then, di ba, aside from the 400,000 pesos worth of restaurant properties na natanggap ni Mark, nakatanggap din siya ng 50,000 pesos cash, which is the income of the restaurant since January 1, 2020. So, in this case, class, although the 50,000 pesos cash is a gift, it's a gratuity, pero tandaan nyo na yung exclusion from the gross income is only applied or is only applicable to the value of the property that is acquired by gift, bequest, devise, or descent. Again, yung exclusion is only applicable to the value of the property. So this one, yung pinag-usapan natin or pinag-uusapan natin is the income of the restaurant. So, in this case, itong 50,000 pesos cash income, this will be included as part of the gross income of the donor. Uulitin ko class ha for the last time. Yung hindi kasali lang sa gross income is yung value ng property that is acquired by gift, bequest, devise, or descent. Yung value lang ng property. Pero with respect to income, this is treated otherwise. So, itong income, just like this 50,000 pesos na income from the restaurant, this will be subject to the income tax. So, kasali siya sa gross income subject to income tax, hindi ni Mark, kundi dun sa donor. Now, sino naman si donor? So, si donor, ito yung tao na nagregalo kay Mark. So, ito yung tao na nagbigay kay Mark sa restaurant at sa 50,000 pesos cash, which is the income of the restaurant since January 1, 2020. Now, what about this 150,000 pesos, which is the income of the restaurant from April 1 to December 31, 2020? Class, I want you to take note that on April 1, 2020, that's the day when the contract of donation was perfected. So, perfected siya on that day kasi that's the time na tinanggap ni Mark yung regalo. So, effective on April 1, 2020, right after the acceptance of the gift, by Mark. So, si Mark na ngayon yung may-ari ng restaurant business. So, therefore, yung 150,000 pesos cash na income ng restaurant from April 1 to December 31, 2020, hindi na yun part ng regalo. That is already an income. And that should be included in the gross income subject to income tax. Again, kasi yung may-ari na ng restaurant business effective on April 1, 2020 ay si Mark. So that means itong 150,000 pesos cash income ng restaurant from April 1 to December 31, 2020 should be included as part of the gross income subject to income tax, specifically regular income tax, in the tax return of the new owner, who is Mark. Gifts versus exchange. So, ano ba yung kaibahan ng dalawang to? So, when we say gift, that is characterized by pure generosity. Kumbaga, binigay mo yung isang bagay out of generosity. No? Kusang loob mong binigay yung isang bagay and hindi ka na naghahangad ng kapalit. That's gift. Exchange naman, on the other hand, it always involves a consideration. So, if this person gives something to the other person, yung other person na yun is expected to render something or to give something in return. So, halimbawa, binigyan mo ngayon itong tao ng pera and then in return, yung taong yun kailangan niyang pinturahan yung bahay mo. That's an exchange. Employment gratuities. So, yung gratuities that is given under the employer-employee relationship, that normally is treated as an exchange para sa services na ni-render ni employee sa kanyang employer, and that is subject to income tax. Ito namang transfer of properties galing sa employer patungo sa kanyang managerial or supervisory employees, that is generally subject to the French benefit tax. And then, yung Christmas or major anniversary gifts that is given by the employer sa kanyang mga employees, they are treated as a de minimis benefit, which is subject to the income tax. Alright, let us now move on to the next exclusion from gross income. So we are now in letter D, compensation for injuries or sickness. So, sabi dito, yung amount daw na natanggap galing sa accident or health insurance or under Workmen Compensation Act as compensation para sa personal injuries or sickness, plus yung amount ng damages received, whether by suit or agreement, on account of such injuries or sickness, shall be excluded from the gross income. For example, si Andrew ay nabangga ng isang jeep. And because of that, siya ay na-hospital at umabot ng 100,000 pesos yung nabayaran niyang hospitalization expenses. And then, sinampahan niya ng kaso yung driver ng jeep. Eventually, yung court nakapag-decide na dapat ang driver ng jeep ay magbayad ng total indemnity of 340,000 pesos. So, 200,000 pesos para sa pain, anguish, and sufferings na naramdaman ni Andrew. 40,000 pesos naman para sa lost salaries ni Andrew. Kasi because of the incident, because of the accident, hindi nakapagtrabaho si Andrew. And then, yung 100,000 pesos naman ay para sa reimbursement for the hospital bills na binayaran ni Andrew. So class, as I mentioned earlier, yung excluded lang from the gross income is yung compensation for personal injuries or sickness plus the amount of any damages. Yun lang yung excluded. Yun lang yung hindi kasali from the gross income because these things are considered as return of capital. So here in this illustration, yung 200,000 pesos na indemnity para sa pain, anguish, and sufferings ni Andrew at yung 100,000 pesos na reimbursement para sa hospital bills na previously binayaran ni Andrew. Ito lang yung exempt or ito lang yung excluded from the gross income kasi ito ay return of capital. So, hindi sila kasali sa gross income. Hindi sila taxable. Pero, itong 40,000 pesos na indemnity para sa kanyang lost salaries ni Andrew. Ito ay considered as return on capital. So, therefore, this is taxable. So, this is subject to the regular income tax. Another example, Mr. Pogi's brand new car, which he bought for 1,200,000 pesos, was actually wrecked in a car collision. Mr. Pogi escaped unharmed. He was paid 1,300,000 for the accident. Okay, so nagkaroon daw ng aksidente si Mr. Pogi. So yung kanyang brand new car na binili niya for 1,200,000 pesos ay nawasak, nasira. Fortunately, si Mr. Pogi nakalabas siya safely from his car. And then, binayaran siya ngayon ng 1,300,000 pesos para sa aksidente. Alright, take note class na yung exclusion from gross income is only applicable for personal injuries, hindi para sa injury to rights or property. So, in this illustration, if we're going to analyze the 1,300,000 pesos na natanggap ni Mr. Pogi from the accident, ito yung magiging composition niya. So, yung 1,200,000 pesos, ito ay return on capital. So, this is the indemnity para dun sa brand new car na nasira because of the accident. Diba, binili niya yon for 1,200,000 pesos. And then, yung 100,000 pesos difference, if we're going to think about it, it's somewhat like a gain. Kasi, yung value or yung amount ng brand new car, yung value ng brand new car na nasira is only 1,200,000 pesos. And then yung natanggap ni Mr. Pogi was 1,300,000 pesos. So the 100,000 pesos dito is considered as a return on capital, and this is taxable. So this will be included as part of the gross income subject to regular tax. Now, moving on to the next exclusion from gross income. So, we are now in letter E, income exempt under treaty. This actually is in relation to the doctrine of international committee. So, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng doctrine of international committee? So, in that doctrine, yung gobyerno ng Pilipinas, hindi niya pwede i-tax yung income and yung properties ng ibang gobyerno. And apart from that, dapat yung gobyerno ng Pilipinas ay irespeto niya kung ano man yung kanilang treaty obligations. And dapat yung treaty obligations na yun ay magpre-prevail over the domestic tax laws.